You walk into your home and it just feels
Yeah.
right. The
Mhm.
temperature, the air, just perfect.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. You didn't program it second by second. It felt
Yeah.
like the house knew you were coming.
Right. It's way beyond just timers now.
Yeah, it adjusted for that crazy weather swing outside. It maybe factored in how many people are usually home then, maybe even checked electricity prices.
Exactly. For decades, controlling home comfort, our HVAC systems, it was pretty manual, wasn't it? A dial, maybe a simple timer if you were lucky.
Totally. Then came programmable thermostats, a step up.
A step up, yeah.
Oh.
And then the early smart ones, like maybe the first Nest or Ecobee, they learned a bit, but they were still mostly following rules you set or rules baked into their basic code.
Okay.
What's happening now, though, it feels fundamentally different. We're really seeing artificial intelligence, AI starting to take the reins.
And that exact shift, that leap, is what we're digging into today. We've pulled together a whole stack of sources, industry articles, research reports. We've even got a specific video explainer from Joshua Griffin and an academic abstract talking about human-in-the-loop AI.
Quite a mix.
Yeah, and our mission here is to unpack all of this, pull out the key ideas, and basically give you the shortcut to understanding how AI is really set to transform the way your home heats and cools itself. We're going way beyond just basic smart tech.
Into systems that genuinely learn and adapt on their own.
Okay, so let's start right there. What is AI in this specific context? It's not like HAL 9000 running my furnace, right?
Uh-huh. No, definitely not. At its core, it's about systems that don't just follow preset instructions like turn on at 6. They actually learn. They learn from their environment, from your behavior, and then they make decisions autonomously based on that learning.
Okay, learn. So it's not just me programming on at 6 a.m., off at 9 a.m. How does that learning actually happen? What's feeding this intelligence?
Well, it's powered by machine learning algorithms. These are basically complex mathematical models designed to find patterns in huge amounts of data.
Okay, data. What kind of data are we talking about?
All sorts, really. It includes learning your routines daily, weekly, when you tend to be home, when you're usually out. It pulls in super detailed, localized weather forecasts. Not just the current temperature, but, humidity, wind speed, even predicting how much sun will hit the house.
Wow.
And crucially, it monitors real-time conditions inside your home. Temperature in different rooms or zones, humidity levels, maybe even things like KO concentration for air quality.
So it's constantly watching and learning my habits, the house's environment, and the weather outside.
Precisely. And it learns from your actions, too. If you often nudge the temperature down a couple of degrees around 9 p.m., it starts to figure out, okay, this is a preference. It looks at historical energy use. How did the house react last time it was this cold out? And it uses instantaneous readings from a whole network of sensors.
Ah, the sensors. Right. I usually just think of the thermostat on the wall, but you're saying it's more than that.
Oh, much more, yeah. A truly intelligent system relies on a distributed network, sensors spread throughout the home. This is where the Internet of Things, IoT, really becomes the foundation.
Okay.
We're talking temperature and humidity sensors maybe in the bedroom, the living room, the kids' rooms, motion or occupancy sensors to know if a space is actually being used right now. Even, as I mentioned, co-Euro sensors tracking air quality.
So it gets this really granular real-time picture.
Exactly. Granular is the word. It lets the AI make smart decisions for different areas of your home, not just based on one single point where the thermostat happens to be.
That makes sense. It gives it a much more nuanced understanding of what's actually going on inside. And where does all this data get crunched? Is it happening in my thermostat?
It can happen in a couple of places. A lot of the really heavy lifting, the complex analysis, often happens in the cloud. The data gets sent off to powerful remote servers for processing. But there's a really significant trend, you see it mentioned in the sources, called AI at the edge.
AI at the edge.
Yeah. This means more processing is happening right there on the device itself, maybe on the smart thermostat, like an advanced Ecobee, or perhaps a central controller hub within the home.
And why is that important? Why do it locally?
Well, it cuts down on delay, on latency. Decisions can be made faster right there, which is pretty critical for real-time adjustments. And importantly, it reduces the reliance on a constant internet connection.
Ah, okay. So if my Wi-Fi drops out.
The system can still operate intelligently, at least based on the data it's processing locally. It adds resilience.
Got it. And you also mentioned predictive analytics. That sounds a bit spooky, like it knows the future.
Predictive, not psychic. It's all based on the data it's learned. Your routines, the weather forecast, how the house performed yesterday under similar conditions. Based on all that, the AI can forecast future needs,
Like what?
like estimating the heating or cooling load for the next few hours. It can anticipate, okay, to get the living room to 70 degrees by 6 p.m., when they usually get home, given the forecast, I need to start ramping up around 5:40. Or it might preemptively adjust for a heat wave that the forecast shows rolling in tomorrow.
Right, so it's planning ahead based on probability.
Exactly. And for us, the people living there interacting with it can be super simple, right? Like just talking to it.
Absolutely. Voice control is a big part of it. Natural language processing, NLP, that's integrated through assistants like Alexa or Google Assistant. You can just say, hey, make it a bit warmer in here. And the AI understands your intent and translates that into actual system adjustments.
Very convenient.
Okay, so that's kind of the tech layer unpacked. Machine learning, sensors, edge computing, prediction, voice. But what does this all mean for me, the homeowner? What are the real, tangible benefits I actually get?
I think the most immediate one you'd notice is automated comfort optimization. The system is just constantly working quietly in the background. It's adjusting temperature, humidity, maybe airflow, potentially even ventilation, all based on what's happening right now and what it's learned you like.
So, consistent comfort without me having to constantly fiddle with the thermostat.
That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
It handles all those little micro adjustments automatically, keeping things stable and comfortable.
It's doing the fiddling so I don't have to.
Nice. Precisely. And tied really closely to that comfort is the energy usage forecasting and optimization piece.
Okay.
Because the AI predicts when and how much energy the system will need, it can intelligently tweak its operation schedule, maybe the set points, to minimize how much energy it consumes overall. It can be particularly smart about avoiding those peak energy price times if you happen to be on a time of use electricity plan.
Which naturally leads us to the big one everyone cares about, savings, money.
This is definitely where the rubber meets the road for a lot of people.
Mm.
And yeah, the savings look pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm.
The sources we looked at consistently point to significant energy savings.
How significant are we talking?
For residential HVAC energy use,
Mm-hmm.
which, let's face it, is often the single biggest energy hog in a home AI optimization, is frequently cited as delivering average savings somewhere in the range of 20% to 30%.
Wow, 20 to 30%. That's huge off your biggest energy bill component.
It really makes a difference month to month on the utility bills. And, we see potential for even bigger impacts in larger, more complex systems. Some sources mentioned examples like BrainBox AI achieving up to, say, 15.8% savings in commercial buildings, or platforms like Passive Logic showing potential cuts of around 33% in energy costs in similar settings.
Okay, so commercial might be different scale, but it shows the power.
It shows the power of the underlying AI optimization, absolutely. The principles are the same even if the scale is different for a home.
And it's not just about the wallet, right? Those energy savings have a direct environmental knock-on effect.
Huge one, absolutely. HVAC systems account for a massive chunk of global building energy consumption. That RKIFT abstract we saw mentioned, it's around 38% globally. So optimizing that use, even by 20–30% per home scaled up, that dramatically reduces the carbon footprint tied to just heating and cooling where we live.
That's a really important point. Okay, you mentioned adaptive scheduling earlier. How does that really differ from the old programmable thermostat schedules I used to set?
Oh, it's a world away, really. Instead of that rigid, fixed schedule you maybe set once and forgot about.
Guilty.
Haha, yeah, we've all done it. Instead of that, the AI system schedule is dynamic.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing based on real-time factors.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so the sources had a great use case. Let's say the system learns you're usually home from work by 6 p.m. It might start gently preconditioning the air in your main living areas around, say, 5:45 p.m., so it's perfect when you walk in.
Right.
But let's say one day you leave for an unexpected weekend trip. Occupancy sensors detect nobody's home. The system immediately recognizes this change in pattern and shifts into a much deeper energy-saving mode. It automatically cancels or delays that 5:45 preconditioning.
Okay. So it reacts to deviations from the norm.
Exactly. Or it adapts if a sudden cold front blows in earlier than forecast. It can even react to air quality readings, maybe boosting ventilation automatically if KEO levels start creeping up in the living room while everyone's watching a movie.
So it's not just following a clock, it's reacting to life, to what's actually happening in the house.
Precisely. It delivers comfort and efficiency without needing you to constantly tell it what to do. And another really critical function emerging is predictive maintenance.
Predictive maintenance? What's that?
This is a huge shift. It moves away from the old model of fixing things only after they break, usually on the hottest day of the year, right?
Always.
to the system actually anticipating potential issues before they cause complete failure
Okay, how on earth does it do that?
by constantly analyzing its own performance data. It monitors subtle things, maybe tiny changes in fan speed, the temperature difference across the coils, how long the compressor runs, system pressures, even slight upticks in energy consumption patterns that deviate from the norm for the current conditions.
So it's looking for these tiny warning signs that something isn't quite right.
Exactly. AI algorithms are really good at spotting those subtle anomalies in streams of data that might indicate a component is starting to wear out, or maybe a filter is getting clogged faster than usual, or the refrigerant level is slightly off, causing inefficiency.
Okay.
And when it detects these early warning signs, it can send you an alert or maybe directly alert your HVAC technician, saying something like, preventative maintenance recommended on the condenser fan motor within the next month.
Wow, so you can schedule a repair proactively on your own terms?
Exactly, which is almost always less expensive, less stressful, and prevents those costly emergency callouts.
Mm.
It also helps extend the lifespan of your expensive equipment. And Joshua Griffin, in that video we watched, made a really interesting point too.
What was that?
He suggested that this AI assistance could actually make the human technicians more effective. They arrive on site, potentially already having a good idea of the likely issue, diagnosed by the system's AI, helping them fix things faster and more accurately, maybe better than just relying on sometimes patchy remote tech support over the phone.
That makes intuitive sense. More data equals potentially better, faster diagnosis.
Yeah.
You also touched on indoor air quality earlier. How does AI play into that?
Yeah, so AI systems can integrate directly with indoor air quality, or IAQ, sensors. Beyond just temperature and humidity, they can monitor things like airborne particulates, dust, pollen, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, or again, QO levels.
Okay.
If the AI detects that the air quality is dipping below a healthy threshold, maybe QER is high because lots of people are inside, or pollen counts spike outside, it can automatically trigger actions. That might mean increasing fresh air ventilation or turning on an advanced air filtration or purification system if you have one integrated.
So it's actively managing the healthiness of the air I'm breathing.
Exactly. It adds this whole other layer of comfort, the actual quality and healthiness of the indoor environment, which is a huge benefit, especially if you live in an area with pollution issues or if anyone in the house has allergies or respiratory sensitivities.
That's definitely becoming more important to people. And okay, you mentioned the grid connection earlier too. How does my home HVAC system end up talking to the wider power grid? That seems like a big leap.
It is, and it's a really fascinating area connecting individual homes to the bigger picture of energy management. These AI-powered HVAC systems can participate in programs often called demand response.
Demand response.
Yeah. Essentially, the utility company or grid operator can send out signals, especially during times of very high electricity demand or when energy prices are spiking. The AI system in your home can receive these signals.
And what does it do? Shut off my AC.
Not necessarily shut it off entirely, no. It's usually much more subtle. Based on the signal and its understanding of your comfort preferences and the current conditions, it might slightly nudge the temperature set point up by a degree or two during that peak event. Or maybe it pre-cools your house slightly before the peak hits, when energy is cheaper or cleaner, so it can coast through the critical period using less power.
Ah, okay. Small adjustments to help the grid overall.
Exactly. It helps reduce demand on the grid during those critical peak load times, which helps maintain stability for everyone. And it's becoming increasingly important as we integrate more renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which aren't always available on demand.
So my house can actually help keep the lights on for the whole neighborhood and maybe use cleaner energy when it's available.
That's the idea. It helps balance supply and demand across the grid. And if you have your own rooftop solar panels, the AI can get even smarter, synchronizing your HVAC usage to maximize consumption of your own generated solar energy when the sun's shining.
Making my home a kind of smart, helpful node in the energy network.
You got it. It's a much bigger impact than just controlling the temperature in your living room.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful, almost revolutionary for HVAC. But there've got to be downsides, right? Challenges, it can't all be smooth sailing.
No, you're right. There are definitely hurdles to overcome, and the sources were pretty clear about these. The initial cost is a big one.
Yeah, I figured that might be the case.
These advanced systems, with all the extra sensors, the more sophisticated processing power, maybe controllers like Trane's ComfortLink or Mitsubishi's Kumo Cloud platforms, they do tend to have a higher upfront price tag compared to a traditional thermostat or even a basic smart one.
So sticker shock could be real.
It can be. And while the long-term savings on energy bills are compelling and often pay back the investment over time, that initial cost can definitely be a barrier for some homeowners. Understanding the ROI, the return on investment, becomes really key.
Okay, cost is one. What else?
Another major concern, and it comes up again and again with smart tech, is data privacy and security. These systems are collecting incredibly detailed personal data about your life, your daily habits, when you're home, when you're away, maybe even which rooms you use most often, plus detailed info about your home's environment. Ensuring that sensitive data is kept secure and that your privacy is rigorously protected is absolutely critical.
Yeah, that's a huge deal in our connected world. People need to trust it.
Exactly. Trust is key. And related to that is interoperability, or sometimes the lack of it.
Meaning getting different devices to talk to each other.
Yeah, the whole smart home ecosystem can still be a bit fragmented. You might have an AI HVAC system from one brand, smart blinds from another, smart lighting from a third. Getting them all to communicate and work together seamlessly isn't always straightforward. Standards are improving, but it can still be a challenge.
It's like trying to get all your different apps to play nicely together on your phone.
That's a good analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's also just the challenge of user trust and adoption on a psychological level. Well, not everyone is immediately comfortable handing over control, letting an algorithm make autonomous decisions about something as personal as their home comfort. There's an education piece needed, building homeowner confidence and trust in how these systems operate and the benefits they bring.
It definitely requires a bit of a leap of faith for some people, letting go of that manual control.
It does. And finally, while that AI at the edge processing helps mitigate it, many advanced features still rely heavily on cloud connectivity. So if your internet goes down, the system might lose some of its smartest capabilities or performance could be affected. Reliability of that connection matters.
Okay, so cost, privacy, getting things to work together, trust, and internet dependency. Those are real challenges.
They are. But the good news is manufacturers, industry groups, even policymakers are actively working on solutions, developing open standards for interoperability, strengthening cybersecurity protocols, improving system resilience, and focusing on educating homeowners to build that trust and understanding.
So the industry is aware and seems to be tackling these issues as the technology rolls out more widely. Okay, looking ahead then, where does this go next? Beyond what we're seeing become available now, is this just the beginning?
Oh, absolutely. Just the beginning.
Mm.
We're seeing some really cutting-edge concepts starting to emerge in the research and development pipelines. Things like digital twins.
Digital twins.
Yeah, basically creating a highly detailed virtual replica of your specific home and its HVAC system and software. The AI can then run countless simulations and optimization scenarios in this digital environment, testing different strategies, figuring out the absolute best way to run the system for your house before it applies those optimized settings in the real world.
Whoa, like a virtual practice playground for my house's climate system. That's pretty cool.
It allows for much more sophisticated, tailored optimization. Then there's federated learning.
Okay.
This is a clever approach to AI training. Models can learn from anonymized data across thousands, maybe millions of homes to get smarter and improve performance for everyone. But crucially, your personal identifiable data never actually leaves your home device. It enhances privacy while still allowing for collective learning.
That addresses some of the privacy concerns then. Interesting.
Definitely. And we're also seeing exploration into things like emotion-aware HVAC systems.
Emotion aware. Seriously.
Potentially, yeah. The idea is the system might use inputs, maybe from wearables, maybe cameras analyzing facial expressions with obvious privacy implications to consider, to gauge the occupant's emotional state and adjust the environment subtly to enhance well-being. Making slightly warmer if sensing stress, cooler if sensing drowsiness. It's further out, but being explored.
Okay, that's bordering on sci-fi again, but I see the concept.
And closer to reality, self-configuring systems that simplify the complex setup and commissioning process when a new system is installed, making it easier for technicians and ensuring optimal performance from day one.
That would be welcome. And what about that human-in-the-loop concept?
Right, HITL AI. That academic abstract dug into this. The idea here is the system doesn't just learn passively by observing you. It actively incorporates your real-time feedback. So you might say, actually, I'm still a bit warm, and the AI uses that immediate input to refine its understanding of your personal comfort zone right now and adjusts its logic accordingly.
So the AI learns with me collaboratively, not just about me from a distance.
Exactly. It makes the system much more dynamic and responsive to your immediate feelings and preferences. It could also tie into real-time energy prices more directly, maybe presenting you with options. Peak pricing is active, reduce cooling slightly and save $6, or maintain current comfort, letting you make informed trade-offs.
Giving the user more agency within automation. I like that.
And another interesting point Joshua Griffin raised, looking even earlier in the process, he talked about how AI could potentially simplify just choosing a new HVAC system.
How so? Buying one is such a headache.
Exactly. Navigating all the different efficiency ratings, SEER, HSPF, system types, furnace, heat pump, mini splits, zoning options, different manufacturer claims, getting and comparing installer quotes, it's incredibly complex for the average homeowner.
Totally overwhelming.
He suggested AI could potentially act like a personalized consultant. You input details about your home, your climate zone, your budget, your priorities, comfort versus savings versus air quality, and the AI could analyze all the available options, filter through the noise, and present you with clear, personalized recommendations, and maybe even vetted installer quotes.
Okay, that would be incredibly useful, taking the research burden off the homeowner.
It could really streamline a major confusing purchase decision. And circling back to timing, we kept seeing this specific year pop up in the sources, right? 2025.
Yeah, that date seemed significant. What's the deal with 2025?
Well, multiple sources, including that Buildings.com article title, pointed towards 2025 as being a potential tipping point year.
A tipping point.
Yeah, a point where the adoption of these smarter, AI-powered HVAC systems in residential buildings really starts to accelerate and become much more mainstream. It suggests that the technology maturity, the market conditions, cost reductions, and maybe consumer awareness are all converging around that time frame, leading to much wider integration.
So things could start changing quite rapidly in just the next couple of years. It might go from niche to normal pretty quickly.
That seems to be the prediction, yes. And is the idea of HVAC as a service, or HaaS, related to this whole shift?
HVAC as a service, like software as a service.
Kind of, yeah.
They'll
It's
be
a
sure-
potential new business model that's really enabled by these super connected, intelligent, data-rich systems, instead of the traditional model where you just buy the furnace or AC unit outright.
Right.
A provider might offer a subscription. This subscription could bundle the installation, the smart equipment itself, the ongoing AI optimization, the continuous monitoring, the predictive maintenance alerts, maybe even guaranteed comfort levels or energy savings targets.
So you're not buying a box of machinery anymore. You're subscribing to comfort, performance.
Exactly. You're subscribing to an outcome guaranteed comfort, efficiency, peace of mind, rather than just owning the hardware. It shifts the provider's incentive towards ensuring continuous optimal performance, which aligns perfectly with what these AI systems are designed to deliver.
That really does fundamentally change the relationship you have with your home's climate system, from product ownership to service subscription. Interesting.
It's a potential future direction, definitely enabled by this tech.
Okay. So we've covered a huge amount of ground here. We've gone from, basic thermostats to these incredibly complex learning systems that promise not just comfort, but optimize comfort, potentially slashing energy bills, predicting breakdowns before they happen, actively managing our indoor air quality, and even helping stabilize the entire power grid. It really feels like a significant leap forward.
It absolutely is. We're moving decisively away from purely reactive systems, or even just simple schedule-based ones, towards systems that are truly proactive, genuinely adaptive, and highly personalized to you and your home. Now, obviously, challenges remain cost, privacy, complexity, trust. These are real issues being worked on.
Right.
But the overall trajectory seems crystal clear. AI is fundamentally reshaping residential HVAC, making it smarter, way more efficient, and deeply integrated into the future fabric of our homes and how we use energy.
Okay, so here's something to leave you thinking about. We mentioned that HVAC accounts for, roughly 38% of energy consumption in buildings globally.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge slice.
Just think about the sheer scale of that number for a moment. Now, try to imagine the collective impact if this kind of AI optimization wasn't just niche, but became the standard in most homes around the world. Think about the potential savings on utility bills globally. Think about the potentially massive reduction in carbon emissions that could result. What small step could you take, maybe this week, to just learn a bit more about this technology, or perhaps even start exploring what options might exist for your own home?